Sisters, let me take you straight to the exact second my heart stopped beating for the man I loved for 20 long years. It was 9:17 p.m. on a Saturday night in Buckhead, Atlanta. The St. Regis Ballroom was lit up like heaven on Christmas Eve. Crystal chandeliers dripping light on 300 of Georgia's finest, all dressed in diamonds and tuxedos. Champagne flowing like the Chattahoochee after a spring rain. I was sitting at the head table in the sapphire silk dress he'd picked out himself. Elegant, but not flashy. Pearls of my throat that had belonged to my mama. Smile practiced in the mirror for ours, because tonight was supposed to be our triumph. My husband Achilles had just closed the biggest contract in Velocity media history. 6 months of stress, late nights, and me holding down the fort so he could shine. The room was his. Applause still echoing, cameras flashing. Everybody toasting the king. I was proud. I was happy for him. I was ready to stand by his side like I had for 2 decades and smile while they called him a legend. Then he raised his glass one more time. That slow, charming grin I fell for at Howard spreading across his face, and said loud enough for every soul in the room to hear, and finally, to my beautiful wife Zahara, my youthful mistake. The laughter hit like a wave. Grown men slapped the table. Women covered their mouths but still giggled. Someone in the back even hollered, "Been there, brother," like it was the funniest thing they'd heard all year. I felt the smile freeze on my face, like ice on a January windshield. My champagne glass shook so hard the bubbles spilled over my fingers. 40-5 years old, dressed like a queen, and in one breath he turned me into a punchline, a youthful mistake, like I was some reckless choice he'd made at 25, and had been quietly regretting ever since. The applause died down. People went back to their plates, and I sat there, sisters, with my heart splitting clean in two, wondering how the man who once wrote me love letters on notebook paper could stand in front of God in Atlanta society and reduce 20 years of marriage, 20 years of giving up my dreams, 20 years of swallowing every hurt, to a joke. But y'all, what happened in the 24 hours after that toast? That's when I showed him exactly what kind of mistake I could be. My name is Zahara Elise Smalls, though for the last 20 years it's been Zahara Smalls Achilles, because he insisted his last name carry the legacy. I'm 45 now, but when I met Achilles at Howard University in 2003, I was 21, full of dreams and fire, top of my interior design class, sketching floor plans on the margins of my notebooks while everybody else was doodling hearts in Greek letters. I had plans, y'all big ones. My own studio one day, a sign out front that said Z Elise Designs, creating homes where Black families could walk in and feel seen, celebrated, proud. Then Achilles walked into my life like a hurricane wearing a crimson Howard hoodie, marketing major, smooth talking, ambitious as the day is long. First time I saw him was at the step show after party. He spotted me across the room, walked straight over and said, "You look like the kind of woman who could design a home a man would never want to leave." I laughed so hard, I almost dropped my drink. 9 months later we were inseparable. We were gone. Build empires together. He'd run the agency. I designed the spaces. We'd be that power couple everybody posted about. We graduated, moved into a showbox apartment in Southeast DC that smelled like old grease and new dreams, and started hustling. He landed at a boutique agency. I assisted a designer in Georgetown. Nights, we sat at our wobbly kitchen table eating ramen, drinking cheap wine, dreaming out loud. 10 years. He'd whisper, kissing my knuckles. "You'll have your studio, I'll have my firm, and we'll be untouchable." 5 years in, his star shot up like a rocket. Promotions came fast. Clients loved him. He could walk into a room and own it, and somewhere in that climb, my dreams started shrinking to fit his schedule. "Babe, can you handle the agency books this week?" You're home more than it was scouting office space, designating the lobby, organizing client dinners. I was working for him, for us, for free, because that's what love does, right? By the time Velocity Media opened its doors, I hadn't touched a design board in 2 years. My portfolio gathered dust while I managed our Buckhead condo, planned his networking events, and made sure his shirts were pressed and his ego was stroked. The money poured in. Luxury SUV, vacations to Dubai and Jamaica. And every time I mentioned going back to work, he'd laugh, Z, why stress yourself? We're good. Let me take care of you. Take care of me. That's what he called it while I slowly disappeared. So there I was at the gala, 45 years old, sitting beside the man who used to write me poetry on notebook paper, wearing a dress he approved, smiling at people who barely knew my name, listening to him call me his youthful mistake while they laughed like it was comedy gold. I finished my champagne in one swallow. The bubbles burned, but not as much as the fire now blazing in my chest. That night, sisters, I went home and fixed his biggest mistake. When we pulled into the garage, Achilles was still buzzing, high on the applause, the whiskey, the victory. He stumbled out the Uber, arms slung heavy around my shoulders like I was part of the celebration instead of the punchline. Babe, did you see their faces? That toast killed. Classic Achilles, right? I helped him out. His jacket hung it neat like always, and he flopped on the king bed fully dressed, shoes still on. Snoring within 60 seconds, I stood in the doorway watching him, mouth open, face slack, that smug little smile still playing on his lips like he was a king, and I was just another loyal subject, and something inside me snapped, not loud, not messy, but clean and final, like the sound of a wishbone breaking on Thanksgiving when you finally get the bigger half. I walked to the kitchen, boiled water for Tea Mama's chamomile with honey, the kind she made when my heart was broken high school, and sat at the island with my laptop. The condo was quiet except for his snores down the hall, and for the first time in years, that quiet didn't feel lonely. It felt like space. Space to breathe, space to plan. I logged into our joint account first. 6 figures sitting pretty. Money he loved to brag about. We're comfortable now, Z. Because of me. But money I'd helped earn too. Even if my name wasn't on the Velocity Media letterhead. I knew the logins. Knew the passwords or wedding date because he was sentimental like that when it came to symbols. Just not when it came to me. Then I opened the browser and created a new account, just mine. No joint, no Achilles. Zahara Elise Smalls only. I'd done it a month ago on a whim. After he laughed at me for wanting to take a design class at your age, Z. Who's gonna hire you? And told me to focus on Pilates instead. I'd said nothing, but that night I opened the account. Just in case. Now just in case had arrived. I started small, $3,000 here. Dollar for thousand there so the bank wouldn't flag it. Confirmed each one with the code texted to my phone. By 3 a.m., I'd moved $92,000. Not all of it didn't want a triple arms, but enough that he'd feel the sting when he woke up. Enough to start. Then I booked the flight. One way to Milan, business class, because if I was leaving in style. $1,200 on his card, the one linked to the joint account. Departure 8 a.m. I had 5 hours. I packed light. 1 carry-on, a few dresses, my good jewelry, my passport, the folder of documents I'd been quietly gathering. For months, bank statements showing his business dinners that weren't business. The condo title in his name only, even though my grandmother's inheritance paid the down payment. The new will I had Walter notarized last spring that cut him out completely and left everything to charities for women starting over. I even took the cufflinks his daddy gave him, the ones he never wore but kept like a shrine. Let him feel what loss really tastes like. At 3:30 I stood in the bathroom, staring at my reflection. The woman looking back had lines around her eyes from smiling when she didn't mean it. Gray strands she'd stopped dyeing because he said natural looks distinguished. Lips that hadn't worn bold red in years because he called it try hard. I opened my makeup bag, pulled out the red lipstick I bought on a whim last year and never wore, and painted my mouth fire engine bright. Then I took that lipstick and wrote across the mirror in big, bold letters, mistake corrected. I left the wedding ring on the hallway chest next to the condo keys. Gold band, little diamond once a promise, now just a prop. By 5:45 the rideshare was outside. I rolled my suitcase to the door, took one last look at the condo that never really felt like home, and walked out without a sound. The driver was a quiet older man. Airport? He asked. Yes, I said. And don't look back. He nodded like he understood. And we pulled away from the building as the sky started to lighten in the east. At Hartsfield Jackson, I checked in, got my boarding pass, and sat by the gate watching the sun rise over the runways. My phone buzzed. Achilles, probably waking up confused. I let it ring. Was again. And again. Then the text started. Z, where are you? Call me. This isn't funny. Zahara answered the phone. I turned it off. Blocked his number. Blocked his email. Blocked every way he had to reach me. The gate agent called business class. I boarded, settled into my seat, and when the flight attendant offered champagne, I took it. The plane taxied, lifted off, and as it landed, fell away beneath me. I looked out the window and whispered, "Goodbye, youthful mistake." Hello, Zahara. 24 hours earlier, I was still his wife. 24 hours earlier, I was still his wife. 20-4 hours later, I was gone, and he was the one left holding the pieces. Achilles woke up at 11:47 a.m. with a hangover pounding his temples and the taste of last night's whiskey still sour on his tongue. He rolled over, reached for me like he always did, expected my side of the bed warm and waiting. It was cold. He stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on his face, then froze when he saw the mirror. Mistake corrected in bold red lipstick. He laughed at first, nervous, confused. "Z, this some kind of prank?" No answer. He called my name louder, walking through the condo. Kitchen empty. Living room empty. My shoes gone from the hall closet. My coat missing. Wedding ring sitting on the console like a period at the end of a sentence he never saw coming. That's when the panic hit. He tore through the place like a man possessed, drawers yanked open. Closet door slammed, cursing under his breath. The safe in his study combination, our wedding date, spun open to nothing. Cash gone. Documents gone. Even his daddy's cufflinks gone. He grabbed his laptop, logged into the joint account, and the screen blurred as the balance stared back at him. $12,347. He had started the night with over $100,000. Transfer after transfer. All time stamped between 1 and 3 a.m. All to an account in the name Zahara V. Smalls. Then the charges. One-way business class ticket to Milan, $1,200. Apartment rental in Milan, $2,200. He sat there, staring at the screen, mouth open, until the reality slammed into him like a linebacker. She didn't just leave. She took everything, and she left him with nothing. But a lipstick message and an empty safe. He called me again and again. Voicemail. He tried my mama, my sister, my old college friends. Nobody knew where I was. He called the bank screaming about theft. But the calm voice on the other end shut him down cold. The account was joint, sir. All transactions were authorized. He called private detectives, $3,000 just to start looking. He didn't have it. He sat on the floor of that big empty condo, in the home we built together. And for the first time in his life, Achilles Smalls cried. Not pretty tears. Ugly, snot and nosed. Chest heaven sobs of a man who finally realized the empire he built was standing on a foundation he'd forgotten to value. 6 months later, I'm sitting on a tiny balcony in Milan, Italy, sipping cappuccino so rich it makes Starbucks taste like brown water, watching old Italian nanas hang laundry and argue about Sunday gravy like it's the Olympics. My little apartment smells like fresh bread from the bakery downstairs. In my design studio, Z, Elise Designs, finally Real has its first 3 clients lined up. All women starting over, just like me. I speak Italian now, halting, but enough to make Luca the barista laugh when I butcher cornetto. I have friends, real ones, who don't care what my ex-husband does or how much alimony he ain't paying. I have a life that's mine from the minute the sun kisses the Duomo to when the streetlights flicker on over the Navigli canals. And Achilles? His emails come every few weeks now. Long, desperate, full of apologies and promises. I don't read past the subject line anymore. I delete them because I learned something powerful the night I walked out. A youthful mistake isn't the woman who loved you when you had nothing. It's the man who forgot her worth when he finally got everything. Sisters, if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that your value ain't tied to nobody's opinion, that it's never too late to choose you, then don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and share this with every woman who needs to hear she's worth more than being called a mistake. Because the biggest mistake a man can make is thinking. A good woman won't leave when she's had enough, and the biggest move a woman can make is proving him wrong. I love y'all. See you in the next one.